Mr. Abhinav Jain with us. He's the co-founder and CEO of Shop 101, and he's won the Young Alumni Achievers Award in the Entrepreneurship category. Abhinav was a student representative and the general secretary in his second year. He worked in Bain and Company and then started his own startup. And it's one of the few profitable startups with a valuation of more than $1 billion. So welcome and congratulations, Abhinav.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
How does it feel to be back on the campus? And
it feels, honestly, it feels very nice. It feels home, and it has always felt home. I had come back to campus last year, but before that I was not back on campus for more than 10 years. And despite the gap, it just felt the same. It just felt home. So it always feels super nice to be back, and would love to spend more time if I can on campus, but just the schedules don't allow. But yeah, it's great. It's a fantastic feeling, and to come to receive such an award, it's incredibly proud and incredibly happy moment for me.
Great. How has IIMA shaped your career?
IIMA has shaped my career in so many different ways that it's very interesting, right? IIMA, at least to me, the first year was all about rigor and discipline, and that thing has stood with me throughout. The second year was all about freedom and exploring, and that's what I've done with my entrepreneurial journey. In fact, while I always had this sort of in the subconscious level that I will want to be an entrepreneur, I think IIMA fructified it, right? The course by Professor Sunil Handa, LEM, was a very big driver. I think just the atmosphere and the curriculum and the peer set was fantastic. So, and not to say I met my wife here, have a bunch of friends and network which is very strong. I think without IIMA, my career would have looked very, very different, right? So I'm very, very thankful and grateful that I actually came to IIMA.
And Shop 101 is among the top 5 e-commerce players in India, and it's one of the rare profitable ones. Can you tell us about the journey?
Yes. So I always thought, even when I was on campus, that I would do something in the technology space, right? And about 3.5 years, 4 years out of campus, I was getting this itch to start out and to build something. And one big thing that I've always seen is that India is fundamentally a land of entrepreneurs, right? There are a lot of people who do business. Now, India has traditionally been a land of entrepreneurs, right, as a country. But we've not modernized fast enough. And I said, how do I help entrepreneurs come into the new age? And that was the gist of the idea. Now, from that idea, we actually went on, it kept evolving. The first idea, the first product that we launched was more of a software product saying, hey, can we help these entrepreneurs just go online? Then I realized that giving software is not enough, because there is also the concern of broken supply chain, not being able to manage sourcing, so on and so forth. So then we said, we will give you a full end-to-end package where you can source the products from us, we will do the delivery, and you just run an online shop, which means that you interact with the customers, you drive the marketing, you get them to come into your store, but ultimately from there on, we will help you deliver, manage returns. In fact, you can choose the inventory also from our large assortment, which we have sourced from the best suppliers in the country. So that idea really took off. And in our third avatar, we said, we had helped people build an online store, but people were still setting up these online stores predominantly on WhatsApp and selling in their local circles. We said, how do we help you get pan-India scale? So we started helping people build websites, and for that we partnered with a large website software company, and we just made a plugin so seamless that today, sitting here, if you wanted, you and I could set up an online shop right now and start selling pan-India, the hottest selling products, right? And the end result today is that you and I are entrepreneurs and we could do business. But if today as consumers you look at Instagram, a lot of shopping is happening on Instagram. What you don't know is, other than the large brands which are actually running their Insta store on their own, most of the other stores are being run by me, by my company, right? Because all of these independent entrepreneurs set up their website, they plug into Instagram and they start selling. And at the back end, everything is being managed by Shop 101 or Roposo Cloud. And that's how we've scaled massively. Of course, this journey, when I look at it now in the last 1 minute, it seems very smooth. There were multiple ups and downs. We can talk about those, but fundamentally, that's what we've been able to do.
And you've provided indirect employment to over 10,000 people and created entrepreneurs in smaller towns.
Yes.
So can you talk about that?
Absolutely. So let me explain how the model works, right? So the model has actually 4 parties to the system, or maybe 5. The first one is our supplier base, right? Which is the people who are actually manufacturing the goods, the factories, the producers, right? We have on our roster about 10,000 of them, but at any point of time, actively we work with about 100 to 200 of those, right? Now these factories individually will employ many people, so you can imagine the kind of employment that gets created at the manufacturing layer. Then we have this network of entrepreneurs, like we said, people who sell on Instagram. We have about 5,000 plus of those actively today. At our peak, we would have had much more, but today we have 5,000 solid entrepreneurs who sell. And again, each of these entrepreneurs is not like a factory, but they will employ maybe 3 or 4 people, right? So they are setting up their online stores and they are working. The third part of it is that we tie up with logistics companies to actually deliver the goods and collect returns. Now there are 7, I think, large logistics players in the country. We partner with all of them. And each of those employ, many people who deliver our goods across 20,000 plus pin codes. And what we finally do is the end consumer gets access to products even while sitting in small towns at homes, which they would not have otherwise imagined. So it's a win-win for everybody. I think entrepreneurship wise or the indirect employment wise, probably 10,000 is an understated number. The number would be closer to, I don't know, probably 50,000 or more. But the fact is that with this model, we've been able to provide entrepreneurs an opportunity to create value for themselves, for their community, and to also provide employment further as well.
And what advice would you give to young entrepreneurs who want to build resilient business models?
I think I would want to talk about my story a little. Sure. When I started, before I left Bain, I literally had somebody offered to fund me. So I was like, okay, fantastic. And then the next round of funding didn't come for 2.5 years. And then the next round of funding came in 3 months, right? And then subsequently, nobody chose to fund me. And then somebody acquired us. So I think the question at the end of the day is that, can you keep going, right? It's about knowing when to keep going in the right direction. And when you need to course correct, you have to course correct. So it's that almost art of figuring out when do you have to keep going and keep at it. And some part of it is entrepreneurial craziness. And then also to know when to change and pivot, right? I think if I had to distill my learnings on how to create resilient businesses, I would say 2 things in my company. One is ruthlessly prioritize. Be focused on what you want to do and like leave everything else out, right? That means that know who your customer is, know what will move the needle for them, and just stay focused on that. And take the lens of, if I had to do this here and now, what would I have to let go, and just let go of that, right? So be very, very focused. And then once you've figured out your focus for long term, short term, execute like crazy on that, right? I would call it relentless execution. So keep at it till you get the goal. So I think those are the 2 things to do. Now each of those we can discuss in greater detail, but I think that's that. You talked about resilience, right? I think the other thing to think about is that when there are turbulent times or unstructured markets, that's where the maximum value is created. Because if the market is structured or the times are good, you will have a lot of people trying to do it because they are all fair weather entrepreneurs, if I may. But when the times are bad, that's when, while it is very tough, but if you can go through it, you will come out, like that just becomes your defensive mechanism. So I think turbulent times are the times when the best businesses are created. They will shape you the most, and you will be able to win big. And when the times come, and when the times become better, you are in a position where nobody else is, so you can win.
Right. Can you talk about your new enterprise, Roposo Cloud, and
Yeah.
what idea are you?
Yeah. So what we did, so the way we think about it is, I said I had 2 avatars of my business. In the third avatar, we took all the learnings and did everything well, which meant that we were able to create the actual profitable e-commerce business in the country, right? So what we did is, we did a few things right. We said social commerce, people selling, entrepreneurs selling to their social network, but they need to scale pan India. So this time we partnered with a online store creator software and help them create online stores which could just scale pan India, right? And it became very simple for the entrepreneur to set up an online store and plug in with our ecosystem with Roposo Cloud in just literally one click. So it became so simple that today we can sit here and just set up an online store and it goes. The second thing we did is we focused on the right set of merchandise. What do I mean by that? There's a specific set of products which you can just go and buy on Amazon. If you want to buy, say, a pair of jeans, you know exactly which jeans you want. You can just go and buy. But if I told you that there's a new age juicer which has come out, which has special features, unless you have heard of it or seen the demo, you can't, right? So we figured out this merchandise where there's value to people looking at videos and discovering it versus actually searching for it. And we focused exclusively on that merchandise, right? You could call it quirky, you could call it different, you could call it unique, you could call it utility. But these are specifically products which actually are helped by a video being there. So we focused on that, and that meant that nobody else was selling it. Consumers really liked it because when they saw that video, they were like, "Oh, I really needed this. This is what I want," and they didn't even know, and they would just purchase. And because every single such product would become a hit, we would be able to source them at scale, and so our cost of sourcing was very low, and we would be able to make a decent margin, and that's how we were able to make money, right? So effectively, Roposo Cloud was a culmination of whatever we had learned over the years, whatever mistakes we had made over the years, and making sure we package them in a way that it makes sense for the consumer, it makes sense for the entrepreneur who is setting up the online store, and it makes sense for the supplier who's actually manufacturing those goods. So it worked because today now suppliers are able to produce and scale. It helps them. They can plan better. They can produce for a lower cost. Entrepreneurs are getting access to products which they didn't otherwise find and sell, and of course consumers are very happy because it's a unique product they can't find anywhere else. So it's a win-win.
And as a recipient of the award, what do you want to accomplish in the future, professionally and personally?
I think the award is a very important milestone in my journey, right, which I will always fondly look back at. It comes also an interesting time where I am now looking to think about my next venture. So over the next few months or year or so, we'll figure out what I want to do next and how do I set it up. But it's I think the award has, given me recognition, and also I feel it's just a lot of satisfaction and gratitude that I have. So professionally, I think I will figure out my next venture soon, and I hope that it becomes even larger. Personally, I think I look forward to hopefully inspiring a lot more people. Actually, I already work with a bunch of startup founders, and I've also angel invested in a lot of them. And I hope that I'm able to help create the next set of unicorns, right? The other thing that is close to my heart and I help on the side is how do I help the broader set of children in the country, underprivileged and otherwise. Dream big, and hopefully also get help them achieve those dreams, and whatever little I can help them, I do that as well. So those are the two things I would love to do personally.
Thank you, Abhinav, for talking to us.
Thank you.
And sharing, and all the best for the future.
Thank you so much.